Okay guys, I'm going to show you the basics now on how to put together the whole shell of a mini album and just take you through it step by step. So what I started out with, if you watched my previous video, Mini Album 101, I'm starting out with my 2 chipboard pieces. I'm going to use the white and we're going to wrap it. And I'm just going to make this a little shell. I said I was going to make a small little mini album using that Silver Bells paper, so I'll do it online with you. Once you get the basics of this, of how to put together a shell and your pages and how I do it and stuff, you can just go anywhere with it and create it however you want it. So let me start out. I cut my hard chipboard. This one's going to be a 6x5. It's just going to be small, so I cut it at 6x5. And I got 1/2 because it comes 12 by 12. So out of this, I got the front and the back cover and the spine. So this spine is going to be 2 inches, 2 inches by 6, and then these are 5 by 6. So then when I put it all together, it's going to be a cute little book with a nice little small spine. Alright, so let me get started on how I go about doing this first. There's many different ways you can wrap your papers first. There's so many tutorials out there, guys, that people that do this. One major one that I learned from is Shelly Geigel, and she's here on YouTube. That's G-E-I-G-L-E or something, Shelly Geigel. You can search it in the YouTube search bar. She does excellent tutorials on mini albums, and that's where I get a lot of my stuff from. But anyway, so I'm just gonna, and sometimes I do it differently. It depends on the project I'm working on, but I'm just gonna show you the basic how I do it, and you can tweak it however you want. So I'm gonna start out, I'm gonna wrap this mini album. I'm going to keep the white on the outside. I guess it doesn't. No, you know what? I'm going to put the white on the inside because if anything shows through, it just looks better. So I line them up. You can see how I line them up. And the first thing I'm going to start with is using my Tyvek. And I just want 2 strips on each side, the front and the back. So, of course, you're going to cut it. It doesn't have to be wide. I'm just going to cut it like 2 1-inch strips that are 6 inches long. So let me get my paper trimmer. And like I said, you can fast forward this because I'm not going to speed it up and do all that editing. It'll just take me way too long. So I'm just going to cut it, and like I said, I'm using scrap envelope. I'm going to cut these folded ends off. If you do a lot of mailing, you should have these on hand. Or if you get a lot of mail shipping. So, this is my go-to. I'm going to cut it at 1 inch. And this doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to use your trimmer, I just do. I'm going to cut 2 1-inch strips out of this. That one's a little short, but it's okay. Oh, and then I need to cut it by 6. So line it up to the 6. And this doesn't have to be precise because, let me go with that straighter edge. You're not going to see this. It's all getting cut up. So your lines, you don't have to be straight or whatever. Actually, I need more. So let's cut it at 6 inches, and then I'll do 2 1-inch strips. Because you need one for the inside and one for the outside. That's how I do mine. So I cut it at the 6, and I'll do it's snowing. Got our first major snow today. So I just went downstairs to refill my coffee, and it's snowing like heck out there. So good day to be in crafting. Alright, so I got that out of my way. You can either glue these on. I still do the score tape on the edges just because I want to make sure that this isn't going to peel up, bubble up. It might be a little overkill. The tape is expensive, but I don't want anything showing through on my papers after a long time, so I'm going to do it my way. So how I do this is I run score tape along the very edge of my, where it's going to butt up to the spine. And I do it on the spine, each side of the spine. Hope I'm in camera and frame. Turn it around, do it on that side. And along this side. Okay, so you can see where I have the score tape on each side of the frames here, and then I'm going to take, that will stick on there very nicely, and then I will usually still also glue these edges down. So you got to peel your score tape off. Of course, it's not going to work because I'm on camera, right? Okay. Peel them all off on this side first. Butt the two up. Some people say you have to leave a little bit of a gap. I have done that. I'm not going to do, I'll just leave like, I just line it up as close. You will be able to bend it and maneuver it. It will be fine. So I butt them up together like that. Let me move this up a little bit so you can see. And I line them up so they're very even. Then I take my score tape. I'm going to take my Craft Tech glue. I mean my fabric tack, sorry. And I'm just going to go run some glue down the edges. Of course, I gotta. And this probably is just overkill, but that's just how I like to do it. I don't want nothing coming up on me. Alright, so then I just glue that right down into the middle. I go to the edge as best as I can. And I want to put that down like that. And as you can see, it still bends. So this is the inside of the mini. If you don't want to use that Tyvek, I have used this linen hinging tape. I think I got it at Michael's, but I might have got it on Amazon. I don't know. I got it a while ago. I do make my boxes with this. It's more like a linen. It's for picture matting. It's pretty sturdy. It doesn't tear. It's just a little more costly. So it just depends on what I'm working on or what I have. But you can use that if you want. Alright, so now I'm going to do this side. Peel my tape. I got to refill my bottle. It's down to the end here. That's why I like to keep it in a smaller bottle. Okay. And let's put this one down. And I pull it nice and tight so I don't have any puckers. I don't want no puckers showing through. Alright, so that's that. There is the basic outside cardboard. Now I flip it over and I'm going to put the Tyvek on each of these sides. And I'm just going to do the same thing. Put my score tape down. Along each side. If you want to save money, you can use your that cheaper glue to do this, because it is going to be wrapped and everything, but this is just how I work. I don't so it's really not going to go nowhere, and if you don't see the puckers, but that's just how I do it, guys. You can choose to do it how you want and just get the basic idea. Peel those off. Do both together real quick here. Alright, for time's sake, I'm not going to put the glue on this because it is going to get wrapped and it will be fine. And my next little piece. There. And this is where you have to manipulate it now because we've tightened that up. And this is why I like to use the glue, because it will come up if you don't, but we're going to wrap it, so it's going to be okay. Yep, see the difference? This is just how I want to show you. Let me get, that's where I didn't use the glue, so I have like little puckers where it happened, where in the front I don't, because I used the glue, and it just really makes it nicer. So that's why I do it. It's worth the extra glue. But anyways, okay, so now we're gonna wrap this thing with cardstock. So let me pause this video. Okay, so now we're gonna wrap our whole cover, and I was gonna do white, but I think I'm gonna do pink just because you're gonna be able to see it better. I know it doesn't come up pink. I think I need a new camera. My lighting is just not good. The color's not showing up. So I'm using 8.5 by 11. Like again, I said, I'm using the 65 pound Recollections cardstock. You could get it at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, whatever craft store. And I want to use the thin stuff because I want to be able to fold it and crease it and wrap it around and still be able to move my book. So here's how I start out. I lay, this is going to be the inside, the white part. So I lay I'm going to go this way. I want to go halfway into the middle of my spine, because then I'll butt the next piece of paper over. And you won't see where I did that because I'll be putting something over my spine. So this is how I do it. You want to leave like at least a 1-inch border all the way around. So this is how I do it. I line it up so that my paper goes in the middle of my spine. Get on frame more here. This is not easy, guys. Okay. Maybe if I zoom out a little bit. There. So I line my paper up. Again, I'm going to say that again. And I know I want a 1-inch border around I'm a loss for words. So what I do is I know where I'm going to I know where I'm going to lay this. So I take my bone folder and I go right along the edge of this and I crease it so that I know that my mini's going to lay right in there. And then I'm going to take this paper now because I have my creases where I know, and I'm going to cut where I'm just going to ballpark it at a 1 inch. A 1 inch around the edge. So cut that off, and of course, yeah, I did get it at 1 inch, so that's good. If it's a little less, no big deal, but so I'm lining that up. All right, so now I screwed it up because I didn't leave myself anything at the bottom. Okay, I was going to edit that out, but I'm not, because I'm going to show you that I make mistakes going along the way. And this is, you just start over and you do it again. So, let's start again. So I'm going to line this up. I want to leave my 1 inch border going top to bottom. I'm not going to cut it this time. I'm just going to do it how I normally do it. I'm not going to worry about long video because you can fast forward. And that's what I was trying to accomplish here. All right, so I score it so I know that it's going to go there, there, and there. Fold it. Sharp crease. And that's where I had scored the whole thing. Now I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch there. So I know I'm going to leave a 1/2 inch here, or 1 inch, I'm sorry. 1 inch there. And 1 inch there. Okay, we got it right now. Alright, so now you're going to put this back on there. And you can see everything's going to fold very nicely around to wrap this. But now first I have to, I'm going to tape everything up and then miter all my corners. So I do use score tape around all the edges, and I put that on first. And I want to go to the very edge of everything first with my score tape. You can rip your score tape. I like to cut it because I'm just freaky neat like that. Sometimes I'll rip it. I guess for this video I just better start ripping it, huh? Alright. Now this one is where it's going to go along my spine. So I'm not going to go up on those mitered edges. Okay, now this is where people always have the tricky, I don't know how to miter. You can see your little corner. As all you do is you take your scissors and you want to cut in at a diagonal like that. And right at your corner in there, just make sure you leave like 1/8 of an inch past the corner, and that'll fold over really nice for you. Sometimes I manipulate it. See, I left it at the corner, and then go and turn your scissors like that. So you just want to miter these two corners. And the reason why I put the tape on first is because once you miter it, I gotta clean, that tape is down there like that. So it's not gonna pucker up. Alright, so those are mitered. And next I want to there. Okay. So I know these are going to fold up like this, and like that. And look how nice that miters on your corner. But, so this is on the edge, that's going to glue that edge down, but I still need to, this is where I put my wet glue in here, because if you don't put wet glue to glue this down, you can use score tape if you want. I just use wet glue because it takes me many strips. If you do not glue the middle, once this is down and folded, and then you start opening your book, it's all going to be puffy in here and come up. So this is where I use my fabric tack. And I always like to pick off my tape first because fabric tack can dry quickly. So you want to be ready to roll. So I glue off my tape, pull off my tape strips. And then I take my fabric tack. I need a new bottle. I have to wait for, and this is, I just put it inside my score lines and all inside. There you go. And now I lay, because everything's already scored, so I lay my chipboard, the cover, right inside my score mark lines. There. Push it down, smooth it out, and I usually come up with my bottom pieces first, and then tuck that in with your fingernail in that corner, and then come up with this top one the same way. Push it down good. And then turn it around. Crease that with your fingernail right on the edge so it gives you a nice clean. There. Push that down on your spine. Now this is when you're going to want to work this a little bit, because you're going to be putting your hinge system in the middle here, and of course we have this where, see, it's stiff, so it's not going to close. So this is where I take my bone folder, and in your creases where your chipboard lines up, you want to score and just work that paper down with your bone folder so it loosens up the fibers in the paper and is going to bend it easier. There you go. And then you slowly kind of just work it. Don't yank it or rip it, and see how nice and perfect that came out? And now it opens and closes. If you get some creases in here, it's okay, because this is all going to be covered up. We're going to lay paper down to cover that, so you're not going to see it. But look how nice the corners look. Even made my thing sturdier. Alright. Let me do the other side and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got that glued down, and again I'm going to manipulate my creases here to work that paper down in there so we can close it. You want want to do this nice and slow and just work it. Now, we have a seam going down our spine, but that's okay because my craft desk is dirty. We're going to cover that up with either trim or paper or something. So kind of work your elbow. You want to get it so it's manipulatable. There you go. There you go. And we have some puckering right here, but that's okay because it's going to be covered up. Okay, so the next step now is to do the hinge. We'll put our cover panels on to cover this up last, but we need to work on the hinge, the binding system. The one that I always use is the hidden hinge one. I know there's the stack the deck. The hidden hinge is from Kathy Orda. I don't even know. I watched videos a long time ago and I just kind of tweaked it. I got the basic concept of it and I do it just the way that I do it. So what you want to do is you want to take a piece of cardstock, and again, don't use the thick cardstock for your hinges. I know you think, oh, I want to make them really, really super stinking strong. I don't recommend that because you want them to be able to move. Okay, so the thinner cardstock is good. You can wrap these in Tyvek. I'm doubling them up, so I don't think it's not necessary. If you're just using like the single layer, I would do it, but I don't because this is just how I think it works for me, and it's really not going anywhere because this is doubled up. So, all right, so I know that my album is 6 inches, I think. Yeah, okay, it's 6. So I know that I want to make my my spine is 6 inches long. I don't want my well, do I? If you want to have your pages lower, where you have the book framing it out, you can make it like 5 1/4 so it doesn't come up all the way to the edge of your paper. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to, this is 6 inches long. I'm going to make it, no, I'm going to do it 6. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so I want to cut my paper at, I want it 6 inches. And I'm using 8.5 by 11, and I'm just going to cut it at 6 inches. I take the longest, so now I have the longest side, so I know this is where you're going to need your scoreboard. I'm actually going to use the big one for this. Mine's pretty nasty because I spray and don't clean up and what have you. So I know that my hinges need to go this way because I need it to be 6 inches. So I need to score going all the way down. Now, this is where you have to determine your gussets. What your gussets are is the in-between of your pages. How much do you want to embellish this bad boy? Are you going to be sticking big flowers, beads, lots of, you know, three-dimensional stuff? You're going to want to do, you can do it an inch in between, which makes for a really tall book. I usually like to do a 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch if I know I'm going to embellish a lot. My battery's dying. Alright, let's try this again. Having camera difficulties here. Battery's charged. Let's go. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to plan how many pages you're going to have. This is a very small mini, so I'm going to do 3 pages, which will give me 6 because each side is a layout. So I know I can fit 3 here, and you need to, you know, I kind of know just from doing this, but you need to kind of know like how many you're going to be able to fit on your spine. So with this, I'm going to make you're going to make your hinges, which are 2 score marks at a 1/2 inch, and they're going to fold together like an accordion, and I'll show you. in a second. But the first one I want to start out with is a 1/2 inch, and that's going to be where it's going to glue down. So then the next one's going to pull up like a fan, so I'm going to go every 1/2 inch. So I start out with 2, but really this one's my first one. And I'll show you when you'll understand it when you see it. Now then, I need to make 2 for the hinge, so it's going to be another 1/2 inch. So that one will pinch up and make 1 hinge. So now the next one's going to be my gusset, and I'm going to make my gusset. Let's see, that's a 1/2 inch. I guess for this small mini, I'm going to go ahead and make it a 1/2 inch. No, I think I'm going to do it 3/4. I'm going to do it 3/4. So how I do it is I go 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. And then you're going to have your gusset. Let's just keep this simple and do a 1/2 inch. This is a small mini. So the first score mark that I have is going to be where I'm going to glue down. And then the next 2 are my hinges. So then the next one is a gusset. And normally my gusset is bigger, but for this mini album, it's going to be a 1/2 inch as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and score down this whole piece of paper every 1/2 inch. And then I'll cut off what I'm not going to use. You'll see in a minute. Okay, so I know that I have two of these is 1 hinge, gusset, 1 hinge, gusset, 1 hinge, and then I have my last mark for laying it down. So I know I'm only doing 3 pages, so that's all I'm going to do. And I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. So I'm going to cut this paper off right there because I don't need that. And I'm just going to cut it right at my score mark. All right. So now what you see is you can see all this little score marks. So this first score mark is what I'm going to glue down. This one I'm going to go ahead and fold all your lines and crease them with your bone folder, just so it's easier to work with before you do anything. Normally I have this is just kind of to give you the basics, but you can make your gussets in between as big as you want, but your page seams, the hinges, I'll call them, need to be 1/2 inch. I mean, you can make them bigger if you want. I don't really recommend that. That's all you need. Okay, so now I'm going to pinch it up to make my hinges. Can you see what I did there? This one's going to glue down on the paper, so the next 2 are going to fold up. And then I'm going to leave that one blank and fold the next 2 up. Blank. Whatever. Like that. And then that one's going to be, I'll pinch that up. Okay. This might be too big. So you see what I've created? Now this will be able to glue down, where I'll put the glue on these 2, and my pages will attach to these, and that's the in-between. And that's the space that you're going to have in between your pages. So now what we do, now I got to see if this is going to fit with 3, and it will, because it can over these little things. You basically want your hinges to be in your width of your spine. You don't want the hinges to go over where your crease marks are of your spine. They have to fit in there. But these little flappies, I do want them to go over because that's where it's going to attach. It's nice if it doesn't, which this one's just going to be right on the line. So that's actually perfect, but it can go over because we are going to cover it and it just makes it extra secure. So now what we do is we open this back up and this is where I get my score tape out. And in between, I'm going to turn it over. In between, I only have to put a piece of score tape on one because it's going to pinch together like that. And then you don't put anything on your gusset. Well, I am going to put it on the flat gusset just because it's open and that's when I'm going to glue it down to. So go ahead and put a piece of score tape on every other section. It will go on your gusset because it's going to glue down to your page. But in between where your hinges are, do you see I don't need another piece of tape there because that's going to tape like that and stick to it. Then that's my gusset and then that'll be my next one. So let me put the tape down and then I'll show you again. I'm putting tape on the two end flaps. Alright, and if you're ripping the tape, make sure you cut off all the loose ends that are hanging over because it shows. And we don't want sloppiness. I'm just trying to go fast. Okay, so I got the tape down. You want to really push your score tape down. You can use your bone folder to really make sure it's on there good. Alright, so it looks like, oops. It looks like that. Okay, now peeling off the score tape. Don't peel the score tape off your two attaching flaps. You're just going to peel them off the hinges. So that's my first hinge. See? All right, let me get the rest off here. I hope I'm explaining this good. It's not easy to do and explain. Alright, so now I'm going to seal up. Oh, I shouldn't have took that score tape off the gussets yet because, but that's okay. So now you want to make sure these are good and pinched. This is why I shouldn't have took that tape off of. Don't take it off your hinges. Okay. So that's what I have left there. It turned into this. Okay? And this is what your pages are going to attach to. This is going to glue flat onto your hinge. So, I mean your spine. So I'll leave that piece of tape on there. I want to position this so that it's nice and straight. And get it right in. Make sure your hinges are inside your spine marks. And like I said, these little flaps can go over. I want to make sure I'm lined up with the bottom edge and the top edge nice and neat. That looks good. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I normally, see, it's so hard to do this on video. For this mini album's sake, this is just a tutorial little mini album, the basic mini album. I do fabric tack with the tape, and I put it all over the back of that and then push it down. I will put it on this little edge here just because. Well, no, I'm not. It's already too late. But I do the fabric tack. I don't go to the edges of this or the bottom edges. I just get it in the middle between, on the back of each gusset. So it stays, if you know what I'm talking about. Because I don't like the glue to ooze out the bottom of the tops of my thing. So I did miss that step, but you get it. So make sure you do that because it just really reinforces it. This one's a small mini. If it's a big mini, you really got to do it. But this one's nice and small. So see what I mean about, now these are doubled up. See how that looks? Nice and neat. So this will give us 6 pages in this mini. And I didn't have to go over this part. Well, I did a little bit, but paper's going to go over that and cover it. So you want to work, if you went over like this is where you want to work it in that seam again. Because when you close your mini, you want that to bend. Now when we're ready to decorate this mini album, we'll cut cardstock to go along on these panels, and we'll leave like a 1/4 of an inch trim all the way around, and it'll butt right up here, so it'll look really nice. So that's we have our hinges in place, and we're ready now to make our pages. Now, if I used the 110-pound cardstock or 80-pound cardstock, these aren't going to move good. They're already stiff because I doubled them up. And I want them to be able to move because that's how you turn your pages. So that's why I recommend the 60-pound cardstock for doing this. And this doubles up, so it's good. And if you, Kathy Orta came up with this, so you can go to her videos and watch her tutorials. I don't even know if she does it that exact same way. It's the same concept, but that's how I did it for myself. All right, so now what we need to do is we're going to get this ready for when we put our pages on. And we're going to put score tape on each side of these because our page is going to slide on to this. So I don't peel the back off, and get it right in the middle. Don't go down by where your seam is. You want to get it right evenly in the middle. And I can tear this because I'm going to miter my edges. So I'm just going to put tape on each side of my hinges, and it'll be ready for when I'm ready to put my pages on. I go in order when I do my mini albums. I make the cover, the spine, I get this ready, and then I cut my pages to size, but I do not adhere any pages to my book until I'm done. I build my pages outside of the book. That way, if you screw up, nothing's attached. You attach it all at the end after it's all decorated and everything, and you know the size, and it's just much easier that way. And usually I'll embellish. Embellishing is the very last thing I do. Like I build all my pockets, put all my magnets on, build all my flaps on each separate pages, then I attach them. Or no, I don't attach them. Then I go over it with my decorative paper and all that, and then I attach them, and at the very end I embellish when it's in the book. Okay, so now I'm just doing the other side. It's quiet because it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't have, this is when I like to craft. There's no kids, no dogs, no, I need this, I need food. I don't feel like I should be downstairs doing housework. But normally I'm Skyping. Tonight I didn't Skype, I took a nap earlier and didn't wake up till late. Okay. Make sure your tape is adhered down really nice. And you see how I did it on both sides? Both sides of each hinge. There you go. Has the score tape. Now we're going to leave that, but we're going to miter these corners. You don't have to do this, but it's easier to put your pages on. And as all I'm doing is I am snipping. I line the tip of my scissors up with the corner and just snip it. And I do that to each side. the reason I put the tape on first is because that I'm sure that the tape goes all the way to the end very nicely. So I'm snipping that, snipping, and I snipped. Okay, so now you have your pages, your hinges look like that. Can you see? There you go. And it just sets your pages set in there much nicer. All right, I'll be back with building the pages in a second.